long ago, I drove the original MG3. MG's returned to the UK market in terms of mass market, non-sports car specific family hatchbacks, and I liked it. Considering the price point, I thought it was a great car that got you a lot of car for the money and was reasonably well made, and yeah, unfairly dismissed by a lot of people. However, in autumn last year, autumn 2018, they completely revamped the car. Fundamentally, it's still the same car. It still has the same shell, the same engine from 2016, but from autumn 2018, it's all new on the outside and very new on the inside. Let's take a look around. The most significant changes you'll see on this car are around the front here, because the entire panel work and plastic area is refreshed. New bonnet panel apparently, new bumper, new grille, new lights, new lower area. Running through it all, it's still a projector headlamp as it was before, but with a nice LED daytime running light, which looks very nice indeed. Down below, got a pretend air intake. Apparently there's no fog light option on the MG3 at the moment. I hope there will be one in the future, because that would be a nice addition to replace those bits. The front bumper is much more aggressive styled, so it's got a bigger impact to look at. And you have this new family look, the Star Rider grille, which has got the interestingly contrasty shaped plastic bits, which look very nice actually. If you're a fan of interesting contrast and detail, you will enjoy this grille, and a much bigger MG badge. I kind of miss the old pointy nose of the original car, which made it look a bit quirky and a bit individual, a bit like an Alfa 145 or 146. This is a bit more in the vein of a Volvo or Mazda now, with this big open front flat area and a much more aggressive lower end. But it's the new look, and it's the new family look. Here on the side, you'll notice more changes. The car has all new 16-inch diamond cut alloy wheels in silver and black, which look very nice. They suit the car very well. They match the new aggressive front end look. Here on the doors, although it's the same handle, actual component, they've changed the springy and damping, so it's much more resistance as you pull it, and it kind of goes back more smoothly and luxuriantly than before. So they've done some clever stuff behind the scenes to make the car feel just a bit more premium. Under the bonnet, there are no significant changes since early 2016. It's still the same engine, but they gained start-stop back then to gain Euro 6 compliance, and they've not updated. If it ain't broke, don't fix, as they say. Well, maybe it could be updated, but it hasn't yet. Big things you will appreciate as a user of this car is the oil filler cap is no longer an old MG Rover item. It actually opens and closes relatively easily. The expansion tank is no longer buried below the bumper, making topping up the radiator and keeping an eye on the levels much more easier. There's no longer Chinese writing on the dipstick. And it's gained the letters DVVT on the top as well, which I think might stand for deep vein valve thrombosis. I don't actually know. More changes around the back, more new parts. These big lights have replaced the original lights, and they are a big, I think it's an LED strip in there. It certainly looks like an LED strip. It kind of glows beautifully in the dark. New spoiler on the rear looks big and aggressive and chunky. Annoyingly, the boot release has moved this nice big badge, which you pushed before, to down under here, where you get your fingers dirty and you break your nails in the grit. In the back though, it does look like someone who's possibly an Avengers fan has borrowed the car before me, because I have an Avengers t-shirt, some secret documents, and the Avengers soundtrack on CD, along with the music of Laurie Johnson. However, that aside, the actual boot itself hasn't changed. It is still remarkably commodious. As I demonstrated last time, you can still sit in the boot. Although I will say, the position of the handle isn't the most easy to find at first. Inside, things have improved drastically, although fundamentally it is still the same architecture, so the dashboard, the seats and things are, basically the same underneath. They have updated it so it looks and feels like a better product than it was before. The first things you'll notice on a tactile point of view is the steering wheel and the gear shift. It's now got the steering wheel from the MG ZS, which is a much chunkier leather-clad thing with a flat bottom and lots of controls for the audio and cruise control, so that feels like a much more quality proposition, and it's nice to hold. Additionally, the gear shift is still only a 5-speed gearbox, and I think the same linkage and everything else underneath, but it's a leather-clad, it's not leather, is it? It's a kind of rubbery, leathery feeling thing, which feels big and chunky in your hand, so it's got like a much more tactile experience. But I think they must have changed something in either the bushing or the weighting of it as well, or maybe just a heavier weight in the knob itself, because it flows much more nicely than it did before. That's a big improvement. Another big improvement is the infotainment, which is now an 8-inch touchscreen with DAB and Apple CarPlay. No Android CarPlay, but then if you buy an Android phone, that's your own lookout, frankly. Sorry. It's got plenty of features. Like on Volvos, actually, it's got a really handy home button. So if you get lost in the menus, you just hit that button there, takes you back to the beginning, and you can find your way home. This, incidentally, is a nice rubber ringed metal button, which feels good quality. The rubber ring turns, the metal button doesn't, which I always enjoy. One carryover which I'm not so keen on is, as before, regardless where you've left the audio volume position, when you turn the car on again, it comes up in like a mid-level volume, which is a bit irritating. And below that, they have kind of copied the original shape of the previous generation heating ventilation controls with that kind of long, thin lozenge with curved ends, but they've changed the layout of the buttons, and they've put like a big chunky dial matching that home button with a rotating rubber outer and a metal inner, left and right for the fan and the heat. And it's a much nicer layout with much more solid tactile buttons with a better spring weight behind them. And as well as that button improving, the thing I hated a lot on the previous generation was the hazard warning switch, which lived over here behind the handbrake before, where you couldn't find it. 3 in the morning, you've come off the road and you've found or witnessed an accident, you want that on, you're not going to find it. Here you are, because it's right here, front and center, nice and obvious. In front of you, it carries over the dials from before. They have that kind of MGTF, MGZS from the, say, 2005 era look, with that silver bezel, big orange needles, quite sporty and quite funky. It's not a bad thing at all. That's one thing that was worth carrying over. They've also massively improved these air vents, which look like something from a 1950s American car's tail light. The round, it's very rocket themed, with this round outer bezel with a bit of texture to it, concentric rings and lots of little details. It is like looking into the back of a Saturn V's thruster, and complete with a nice metal knurled knob in the center, which feels nice. It's got a nice bit of resistance when you turn it. Generally very good indeed. One thing I'm less impressed with is this door card, which is now a solid plastic sheet rather than the fabric lined thing. The textured fabric is gone. In is this textured single sheet of plastic. I'm less impressed with that because, although I'm sure it's hard wearing and tough and easy to clean, it just doesn't have that same nice feel to it when you rest your elbow on there. The padding in this armrest isn't too thick either, and this door grab just feels a little bit hard and plastic, but at this price point I'm not really in a position to complain. And it does have 4 electric windows and a decent door bin, so I shouldn't knock it. Also, looking around, we've got plenty of storage for the bits and bobs. We've got a little pistol pocket here, a cubby here with a USB socket and a 12 volt, a pen holder, a cup holder, a small square item holder, and a big cup holder for bottles and things behind you. That's fairly well laid out in that respect. And to emphasise the Britishness, we have a tartan travel rug embossed into the dashboard. Here in the back, good things have remained. It's still got the same masses of headroom. You've still got your large square cup / bottle holder, as I mentioned a second ago, and you've still got map holders in the back of the chairs. The seats padding feels a little firmer and more supportive. It's still extremely soft, very nice. The fabric has changed. Those funky red stripy patterns have gone now, and it's gone a bit more grown up, but the trade-off is it's more comfortable now, so I'm not going to complain. As in the front, we now have big plastic door cards, which I'm less keen on, but I'm sure if you've got kids in the back, that wipe clean aspect will come in handy. So I am back at the wheel of an MG3, but this time it's all new and all improved. And by all new and all improved, I mean slightly new and slightly improved, because although it's fundamentally the same car, it's still running the same 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, it is the same chassis. So the driving experience isn't massively different, but it is better in little tiny ways that you notice the more you drive it. Now, as before, this 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine is not turbocharged. And pulling into traffic, that is what you instantly realise, that you don't have the same wallop as you expect from a hot hatch these days. However, everything else around it has been improved significantly. The road noise is quieter now. The damping, I don't think, is different, but it just does feel a little more relaxed, refined even, if you will. That may be down to the improved seating materials. This one, being a top of the range, is part leather. I would say half leather, but the leather only extends to a 1-inch strip along the top of the seat, so I think playing half leather might be pushing the description a little. But there are 3 versions of this car you can buy, all with the same engine and same gearbox, 5-speed manual. There are 3 versions of this car you can buy, all with the same 5-speed manual gearbox and 1.5 petrol. Explore, Excite, Exclusive, but there's only about 3 grand between the top and the bottom of the range, between £9,000 and £12,500. So frankly, given that the base models only come with black plastic door handles and steel wheels and not much else, why not pay the extra couple of £100? Because once it's on a PCP, you know the monthly price is going to be under a tenner different. And there'll be fantastic deals on the mid-range cars. Something I'm glad they haven't messed too much with is the gear change. Lovely and light and smooth, and just dances between the gears beautifully. I'm struggling for a good word to describe it here, you can probably tell. But that is a joy to use still. It's a shame you do have to stir it quite so much, because there's just no low down torque in this engine at all, unfortunately. The steering is still fantastic on this car. It was good on the last one, and they haven't messed with it. Beyond putting that nice chunky leather steering wheel on, you've still got incredibly and anachronistically hydraulic powered power steering instead of an electric system, which is a bit of a throwback, but does still give that wonderful feeling that we used to have. And the electric systems have picked up a lot in other cars. The seating position is still good. Again, they've not messed with the recipe and things that were working for the most part. Although this door padded area really is a bit lumpy bumpy under your elbow. Going by the book figures on this car, 0 to 60 is about 10.5 seconds, and it chucks out 105 foot-pound of torque, and in normal driving it'll give you low 40s mpg, which is quite respectable. Again, nothing's changed from the old version of the car. But if you want to get decent performance, you have to wring its neck, and that's going to hurt your economy. A turbo would make this car significantly better. And the dashboard arrangement is a big improvement. That big screen is really handy. Although it's not got its own built-in sat-nav, the use of CarPlay means that your phone system will take care of that for you. And it's even got a reversing camera as well, which is a big upgrade. Only on this top level trim though, of course. The USB audio input has also moved down here into this little cubby hole, which is far more sensible, because you really don't want cables trailing all across the front of your dashboard, in front of your screens and things. Gosh, running out of puff again. There are a few odd trim decisions on the car. For example, it's got automatic headlights but no auto wipers. Other than that, it is very well spec'd. To comply with Euro regulations, this car has start, stop and a gear indicator, so it doesn't actually improve the car's physical MPG and economy. It just makes it play the game a little bit more.
It's on.
Oh, come on, car! It does not want to accelerate hard, which is such a shame, because the chassis really wants to be driven quickly around corners and be had fun with, but it does not want to be thrashed at all. It's slightly incongruous, because everything else in this car, the sound deadening, the ride quality, the fit and finish of the interior, has all massively improved, so it now feels like a much more modern and refined vehicle. But that engine, which was fine in the old version of the car because it kind of fitted with it. It kind of fitted with the feel of a car that was slightly old school in its outlook. But now this car looks and feels modern, but the engine just doesn't really work with it. MG needs to put a new power plant in this. Maybe its 3-cylinder 1-litre turbo thing would do a good job in there, even with this 5-cylinder. But I think you really want a 6-speed, because that power band's going to be a bit tighter. Called the Interdent, that road. A bizarre name.
Oh, I see what you think. Oh, it feels good through there, doesn't it?
It does, it really clings on. This is a car that wants to be driven hard. It's just crying out for a more powerful engine. This car is called Hello Yellow. Not mellow yellow by any means of the word, and I'm glad it is, because it's the only bright thing on the road today. I'm in a convoy of cars which are almost entirely grey, black, white, silver. The only other yellow thing on the road is a truck coming the other way right now. But it's a miserable grey day, and seeing this bright yellow car is an absolute breath of fresh air. And a car like this, with a character, a sporty, fun, exciting, youth-driven car, it needs to be a bit fun and exciting, like Cupras used to be, like 10 years ago, when everyone had excitingly orange and green Seat Cupras. Well done, MG, you've definitely done the right thing painting this car yellow. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this recap on, or revisit even, on the MG3, seeing where they've taken the car since the old version we drove not so long ago. It's improved in many ways, but the one thing that hasn't improved is the one thing I would have improved. But hey, never mind, it's where we are now, and it is what it is. Thank you for watching, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and all the usual things. I've done my bit by giving you a video, now you do your bit by hitting those buttons. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.